How will Google's 4 ads on top impact organic search? Should every website be publishing AMP? And will reactions change the way that content marketers use Facebook? All that and more in This Week in Organic, episode number 37.
This Week's in Organic. Live from London on thisweekinorganic.com.
Broadcasting live on authoritas.com, you're watching This Week in Organic, the weekly show that debates the ramifications of the latest SEO and content marketing news. Sign up to watch the next show live at thisweekinorganic.com. Hello, I'm David Bain, and each week I'll be joined by some knowledgeable, opinionated folks to discuss the latest happenings in anything that impacts organic traffic. And as for you in the live audience, get involved. So tweet about the show to your own followers and tell us what you think in the comments box to the right-hand side. So I think that side, as far as I'm pointing there. So I'll try and read out as many comments as I can. But let's find out more about today's guests, where they're from, and what's caught their attention this week. So starting off with Alex.
Hello, everyone. I'm super excited to join this session. And so, actually, I'm based in Russia, in St. Petersburg. And so what I can tell about my background, previously I was working at SEMrush. I was one of heads of marketing, and I was responsible for European development. And right now I run my own agency, and I'm purely focused on helping various digital marketing tools. And my passion is numbers and data-driven content marketing campaigns. So if you want to chat with me about that, you're welcome on Facebook, Twitter, whatever you prefer, on my blog as well.
Wonderful. And that's alextechlova.com, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
That's it.
And also joining us today is Nicole.
Hello.
Hi, Nicole. Would you like to tell the world a little bit more about yourself and what has particularly caught your eye this week?
Yes, absolutely. My name's Nicole Bullock, and I'm a digital marketer based in Detroit, Michigan in the U.S., and I work for a company called CDK Global, and we are an automotive digital marketing agency. I'm part of a team of 120 SEOs and social media specialists who service websites for Tier 2 and Tier 3 automotive. And while most of my time is spent doing SEO, social media is my real love. And this week, what's really caught my attention is the Facebook reactions.
Your reaction to the reactions is what we're looking for.
Love. Surprise.
You know them all off by heart already. That's great stuff. And you should also catch the previous week's episode of TWIO, actually, because I was having a one-on-one discussion with Greg Gifford. I'm sure you know Greg, a famous SEO in the automotive industry as well. But also joining us this week is Saya. Saya, great to have you on.
Thank you very much. Very happy to be here. And a little bit about myself. I'm from Finland originally, so quite near Russia. But I live at the moment in the UK, in London, and I run a digital marketing agency, Mahon Digital Marketing. We are international digital media agency specializing in SEO, PPC, content marketing, you name it, we do it. So we are full service media agency, and my passion for the past 13 years, so a little bit more, has been biddable media. So I've been specializing in PPC side of things actually, but since founding the company about 6 years ago, I've self-taught myself SEO and content marketing and PRs and all the rest as well. So yeah, that's my daily challenge. I run the team of 14 across Scandinavia, UK, and we have a little operation in Asia as well.
Wonderful. You're a busy woman by the sound of it.
Yeah.
So, you're involved with paid marketing. Obviously, every progressive SEO and content marketer has to be aware of what's happening in paid media as well, and work in conjunction with that as well. So it's always great to hear someone's thoughts on how that is evolving at the moment and how that impacts things for SEOs and content marketers. But let's move on to topic number one, and that is Google have been testing 4 ads at the top of their organic results for a while now, but over the past week or so, they've rolled out a full ad section for many competitive terms, and they've also removed the right-hand side ad bar. So how will Google's 4 ads on top impact organic search? Let's go to Alex, first of all, about that one. What are your thoughts on that one, Alex?
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm the type of user that's really never clicking on ads. So, I mean, like, when I'm really, really mad at a particular company, probably I might click, but in all other cases, I'm not going to click on ads. But what I think about that, which is like really interesting for me as a digital marketing specialist, so like an expert, how PPC will be changing in connection of so it's like decreasing the number of ads on search engine result page, because, well, we have obviously a really competitive niche like real estate, for example, where you can find keywords which has the average CPC more than $100, and how it's going to be so somehow correlation between changing the number of advertising results on page, and so it's like turning even in a more competitive niche. What I think, if it was competitive, right now it's even more competitive. And from other hand, I think it's really interesting how it's going to be developing in terms of organic results, because certainly it might affect organic results. So we will see more ads results on a page before organic results. Okay. So that's my point here.
No, that's interesting. Yeah. Alex was saying, Saya, that it may make certain niches more competitive. Can you see this move by Google actually increasing the average cost per click for certain industries?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. It definitely has been interesting over the course of the week, because we do service a lot of PPC clients within our agency. And one thing we have to remember, because the whole digital, especially the biddable media industry, has kind of gone a bit crazy, and they thought the same thing as you mentioned, that CPCs will go up and it's more competitive, and oh my goodness, what are we going to do? However, we do need to remember that this impact is only on desktop traffic. And just in December, at least in the UK, where most of our client base is at the moment, mobile traffic has already surpassed desktop traffic. So actually the impact is not as huge as we think it is. And what we've noticed in terms of our PPC clients and their campaigns, you know, the best results are driven on the top 3 spots anyway. So actually we have been wasting quite a few impressions by having ads on the right-hand side. Therefore, our click-through rate has been skewed. The quality scores are lower. Therefore, we pay more CPCs because the quality score is lower. So what we've now identified is that this change has actually increased our quality scores for our clients. It has increased the click-through rate. And again, it only affects desktop traffic, not mobile. We need to think mobile first nowadays. And this is what you really need to optimize for, whether it's SEOs or organic results, or indeed paid results, hopefully both in conjunction with each other. So I do believe there's a lot of hype about it this week, and it's all good and interesting. However, I do think the actual impact is only a positive one.
Okay. So, I mean, to me, it looks slightly strange, Google's results on bigger monitors, because quite a few results now result in maybe a 700-800 pixel wide set of results in a big blank space towards the right-hand side. So I think they've obviously got some serious plans for that piece of real estate on their search results. Nicole, what are your thoughts in terms of what Google are up to here?
Well, I think this is actually a very positive change, and looking at having kind of a seamless experience between mobile, desktop, tablet. Even though this is a change for desktop, it gives a more continuity to the experience. So when I heard the news about it, I wasn't too surprised. A few of my clients have really been worried about it because they rely so heavily on paid search. And they've wondered, how are you going to change your organic strategy? Because now it's so much more important. And I feel like it's ushered in a good conversation about organic search has always been important, especially with local listings. And this just gives some more visibility to how important organic rankings are.
Okay, so organic isn't going anywhere at all. Even though perhaps Google might be pushing it slightly further down the page, it's still going to be essential to optimize your site to appear in those free inverted comma listings moving forward.
Right, and for companies that rely heavily on paid search, if their advertising budgets go down or they don't have the same visibility with their ads, their organic rankings will matter that much more.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, Alex, what about this big space towards the right-hand side? What are Google's plans for this? Have you got any thoughts on that at all?
Actually, I have. You mean like about? Where
the paid ads used to be on the right-hand side there. I mean, I did a few searches this afternoon, and you can see some knowledge graph type results in there, but it's only a very small section towards the right-hand side. And it was interesting. I thought that that right-hand section is actually mobile responsive, but their main set of search results aren't mobile responsive. So maybe they're actually looking to move their whole search results towards being mobile responsive. Maybe they're going to increase their font size in the future and perhaps just focus on that section. But I would think that they've got some kind of idea about perhaps expanding the knowledge graph experience or something like that, maybe bringing in more visual elements towards the right-hand side? Or am I going down the wrong track there?
Well, actually, that's a kind of interesting idea, what I think, because like knowledge graph element there right now, really, they're starting to be a big trend. And I think like for actually, especially for local results, when you're a really local small business, you should be there because there are so bloody competitive niches, like, for example, hotels, where Booking and TripAdvisor and the rest of other huge brands, they're occupying organic results. So that's actually, for a small local brand, that's probably the best place to be, or not being at all. So I think it might be probably a solution for local businesses as well. I mean, like on that side, which is right now, well, partly free because we don't know for sure whether it's going to stay like that or Google is still testing it. Well, probably, but hopefully, what I'm really hope about that it's all about improving our personal experience in dealing with Google for me as a user, and then for me for sure as a professional.
Okay. So you do see knowledge graph or those type of results becoming more important in the future. In terms of action steps that a local business, maybe like a hotel, has to do to take advantage of that, is things like using markup schema, appearing on sites like Wikidata, going to be one of the most important things for them to be doing over the next few months to take advantage of that?
Yeah, probably like monitoring the situation on a regular basis and trying to take advantage to leg up on their competitors if it's really a chance. So I think that's probably not too complicated in order to proceed that. So I think that might be a really good opportunity for them.
Saya, do you find that when you're speaking to clients, you're speaking to marketers and organizations, that they are aware of things like markup and sites like Wikidata in order to actually tell Google more about what their content is and what their site is doing? Or do you find that people in general, marketers and organizations, are a little bit not that knowledgeable on things like that?
Well,
good question. Very good question.
Yeah, it's really, I think it's kind of a really painful question, because if you take a look at our industry, you will find that only a few of us, I mean like experts, are really talking about technical stuff. So take a look at Brighton SEO current agenda. There are plenty of talks about content marketing, social media, And yeah, nope. I also talk about content marketing. So I'm in the same situation right now. So I'm like, well, really, well, that's a pity that I really can't do a proper speech about technical side, but that's not my, let's say, case skills. So I'd love to, but I know that I can't do the same speech as Bastian Green, for example, because when I look at his speeches, I know that he's really put his heart in that. So that's, well, but that's a really, really limited number of people in our industry that can do a proper technical speech. And I think it's, well, it's affecting the knowledge of other people. Because if you have a really small number of people who are willing to share this knowledge, then so like you don't have a huge number of people who are really interested in learning more because they are struggling in getting this data. So what I can tell that there is, well, let's say we have a number of, let's say, people in our industry who are really following all those trends, but that's a tiny number, what I think. And so talking back about my customers, I have a really special customer because that's a majority of digital marketing tools, but still I see that not all of them take an advantage of all those technical things that you can implement in your strategy.
And are you positive that more marketers in the future will become more technical?
If we stop talking about content marketing, and then social media, then probably yes. But what I'm like from my side, what I'm trying to do, at least I'm trying to make more sense of data and trying to do not, let's say, so easygoing content in terms of, well, like when you put a piece just in a couple of minutes and it doesn't have a lot of, well, a lot of useful information for users. It doesn't share something new. So that's what at least I'm trying to do in order not to go into the trend of doing something rather than doing something quality.
Okay. So, Nicole, I think that content marketing, or at least discussion about content marketing, isn't going to taper off at any point soon. And that's probably the primary focus of a lot of marketers, possibly because it's easier for them to actually understand why it's beneficial for them to do. So if that's the case, but technical SEO, technical amendments to their code and their website is still going to be an important thing to change. Do you think we will see more tools becoming available to content marketers that can amend things like microdata, and meaning that it's not necessary for them to be technical, yet they can still make technical changes?
I think that a lot of marketers underestimate their abilities with technical tools. My session that I'm giving at Brighton SEO is actually about Google Webmaster Tools and Search Console. And there are a lot of things that are a free resource that Google is giving. They want you to use their tools and their data so that you can make better choices for your website. And there are things that are very automated and easy to use, like the data highlighter, that even if you're not super technical and you don't know all of the bits of code and markup that are possible, you can still make a difference on your site by using the resources that Google gives you for free. But along those lines, there are a lot of really great third-party tools that I like to use that, you know, we can look at the information, and like Screaming Frog. Screaming Frog is one I use every day to get information to make technical changes to the websites.
My concern about using the data highlighter tool is that it's information that Google will see, but it's not something that obviously will help other search engines out there. Do you have concerns like that about using the tool?
I personally don't like to use it much for myself. I'd rather add some markup to it. But as for someone who's just entering the space, I think it's a good way to learn about how structured data is important and the type of things that you can more specifically code, like locations, hours, industries. So while it's not useful for, you know, Bing search results, I think that gives a lot of visibility to how you can mark up your site to make it appear better in the search results.
Right, okay. And Google, of course, is the vast majority, and that's unlikely to change at any point in the near future. And talking about Google, topic number 2 is Google have started highlighting accelerated mobile pages in its mobile search results. But is this really relevant for every business? Should every business website be publishing AMP pages? Saya, what are your thoughts on that particular topic?
Yeah, again, a very, very interesting new change in the Google results. And we were just actually talking about these changes within the team today. And it seems that all the platforms, whether it's Facebook or Google or other search engines, they seem to be competing with changes this week. So there's all kinds of new things coming up, and that's what keeps our life obviously very interesting. At the moment, I believe it's more relevant to publishers and news sites and so forth. But I do think probably in the future it will be relevant for all the websites, really, especially if you have blog or if you're publishing content, which clearly websites are doing. And that ties in very well with content marketing. Another thing that I believe it would have a big impact on, especially thinking about, if I think about what we specialize in, because our portfolio is across PPC, SEO, PR, content marketing, and so forth. So we are trying to look at all the tactics from a holistic point of view. For example, we are doing quite a lot of PR for our clients. So we are trying to get their articles out there within these news sites that now will be benefiting from these accelerated mobile pages and the carousel snippets for the relevant articles that are searched for. So from my point of view, at this moment in time, the focus will be tying in our PR efforts with the new tactics and strategies that Google are bringing out within their platform and maximizing those efforts. So essentially combining PR and articles with the new features of Google and their mobile pages.
Nicole, is this something that any of your clients have been asking you about?
They haven't yet, but I think that it's something that we'll see more. Right now, just having a better mobile experience in general is usually one of the greatest concerns, especially for hours and directions, the type of information that people are trying to search very quickly. But we've noticed, for instance, with hours and directions, people aren't going through to websites as often. If the like Google My Business page is optimized correctly, their hours are going to show there, and they're not going to be clicking through the page. And I think with those snippets of the AMP pages, I think we might see some changes in click through, and I think it's probably going to help some sites a lot, and other ones it's hard to say.
I saw an article today that talked about Google's use of these pages and including it more in a bit of a carousel. So what people could actually do is actually read your content and then quickly scroll on to another piece of content on another website. So perhaps it's another way of Google not taking a visitor directly into your website, but displaying your content in a manner that it would prefer to do it. So
I do wonder with that how the attribution will work with analytics, because if it's getting engagement on the search result that people aren't clicking through, is there going to be a way to track and measure who's interacting with the content? That's my concern for something in a carousel setting.
Absolutely, yeah. And obviously, you'd also have to think, well, within these pages, can you place a better call to action to drive people further within your sites, further telling about your products and services that you offer as well? And it might lead to, I guess, a new form of optimization. And Alex, is this something that you've lost sleep over at all?
Well, actually, I'm really curious about all those situations, especially about mobile, because I have a really good case. I was delivering a speech at one of conferences in London. That was like actually at affiliate conference. affiliate days, I believe, or affiliate conference. I don't remember how it's exactly pronounced. Pretty big one about affiliate industry, and I was like actually talking about mobile as well, about mobile optimization a bit. And that was like I found out a really interesting case. So Nico, you probably guys know about company Southwest, which is one of the biggest US airlines, and they're really, well, actually they're really good in customer service. They're famous for that. And what is really interesting about them, that they have less than 14% of their pages that are appearing in search engine result. Which you can see in Google. They have mobile-friendly mark, let's say. And I was like testing and opening their pages, and they are not mobile-friendly at all. I mean, like on my iPhone. And so I'm really curious about developing this situation. And so just today I checked them on at SEMrush, because I thought like, okay, they might have received any, let's say, drop in the mobile traffic, but they are stable and even growing. So here is, well, I'm not trying to say that you shouldn't go mobile, but that's a really interesting case when you have a really huge website and it's really visible to Google, and it's oriented actually on taking people, well, actually there's like the good portion of their traffic is mobile. It's obvious. However, they don't care. And even I was like trying to open some pages for check-in, and those pages weren't mobile friendly at all. So I was like struggling to click anywhere.
Right.
They don't care, and even Google doesn't care at all. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. I'm not like exactly certain about like what's going on that side, but that's a really interesting case about the problem of mobile. And so, I mean, like, not all businesses really need it. I'm not talking about Southwest. They obviously need it. And so please someone pitch them for doing that. That will be a brilliant pitch, like, guys. We know that you are not mobile friendly and you are struggling. So, yeah. But I'm trying to tell that there is a bunch of cases when website doesn't need to be mobile. So like talking about, for example, my client, it's like tools. You can't use any tool, like especially analytics one on your mobile. You can just browse something really quickly. I mean, like position tracking, probably, yeah, I can open. But going into analyzing any website, their trends, no way. So I think that should be some kind of balance here and not going too mad about that. So that's my point here.
Well, first of all, in relation to what you said to begin with, if you can't remember the name of the conference that you spoke at, you're speaking at too many conferences.
Oh, no way, no. I just forgot about that. Don't try to persuade me that I do really a lot.
In relation to what you're saying about some websites not delivering mobile-friendly pages, it struck me that maybe Google is more focused on user signals than we think. And if users are still using the site and demonstrating to Google that they are actively using the site more than other competitors in the niche, perhaps the fact that user signals are strong are a stronger signal to Google than having what it thinks to be a mobile-friendly site.
Well, yeah. I'm certain that if you receive mobile traffic and you have a high bounce rate, then you should do something with that, because it's obviously affecting your overall website. Not even like mobile version. I'm certain that's affecting your desktop traffic as well. But there is still like a lot of different situations when you will see like the same case like Southwest has. So, well, I'm not trying to say that it's not a big deal. It's a big deal, but well, just try to justify it.
There's
and not go.
There's a comment in the chat from Frugal Web Guy saying Southwest actually has a mobile-friendly site at mobile.southwest.com. Maybe, it doesn't offer a mobile site to all of its pages across the purchase process, perhaps. But I haven't done a case study in that one extensively, so I will have to rely on other people's opinions on that particular example. But with regards to AMP pages, Saya, in terms of implementing it, you can certainly implement it by using something like a WordPress plugin, which is available now. Do you think that your clients should look at how they could implement in their sites at the moment, or is it really not going to be a significant priority for you until you see exactly what happens over the next few weeks or so?
I think it's very interesting. We always endeavor to tell our clients the latest news. We try to keep ourselves obviously on the pulse of things, and we're Google partners as well. So we know about things as soon as they come to the market, a little bit before. So I do think it's perhaps the implementation phase is not yet here because we don't have any major news publishers, for example, as clients. So perhaps it's not relevant just now, this week, or even next. However, I did call upon a meeting with the team today to go over these changes, including Facebook's and the latest changes within the paid ads as well. So I think it's important that we educate and inform our clients that this is coming, and then we will tailor our strategies based on individual client objectives, how important the website is within their marketing mix, and could this strategy, could this tactic be beneficial for them now or in the future. So I think it's just, again, seeing the big picture, if it's relevant right now or perhaps in the long term.
Great stuff. Well, coming up, we're going to be talking about whether content marketers should be seriously considering Snapchat, and we're also going to be taking a look at whether reactions might change the way that content marketers use Facebook. But first of all, it's good to see a bit of chat going on in the side column live there. We've got Alex, who is obviously a guest live here, also interacting there as well. So that's very impressive. Always impressive when our guests participate with other people there. But let's move on to the next topic, which is Snapchat's been on the scene for a while, but it seems that they've suddenly hit the mainstream, really. So is Snapchat a social network that most content marketers should be aware of? Nicole, I think you mentioned social media at the very start there. So are you a Snapchat user?
I am a Snapchat user, and I have a 15-year-old daughter who would far prefer to snap me than text me. So I've gotten a lot more into Snapchat just so I can follow her life and what's happening there. But I actually also was a fairly early adopter of Snapchat. I've been on maybe 3.5 years, or 2.5. I can't remember when, but I got really excited about it for a while and told a lot of people, and they just said, we can't figure out how this is relevant or fun, but you have fun with it. You like social media. But as one who always loves to test things out, my first foray into Snapchat marketing was when I worked for an agency that had a pizza company, and we were doing some tests of coupons with people that would follow the brand on Snapchat. We would send them a snap if they took a screenshot, and then we could check the account to see that they'd actually interacted with us. They could get free pizzas or breadsticks or something. So depending on the niche, I think that it can be extremely useful. I don't think that it's for everyone. And it also depends on your target audience. I think it's going to resonate more with younger people, especially teenagers, millennials, and I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it turns out. I have people I follow that are really engaging, and my favorite platform to follow them, of the 10 I follow them, is on Snapchat. But some days go by and I don't even snap anything.
So you don't think it's for everyone, but do you think it'll ever be for the majority, like Facebook has become?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But I think that it will grow significantly, maybe in the next 6 months to a year.
Okay. It's intriguing. I mean, I can't remember a social network that has received so much sudden discussion, like Snapchat seems to have got over the last 3 or 4 months or so. Maybe it's something to do with Gary V. I'm not sure. He's certainly
He's very active
vocal
there.
about it. Absolutely.
Yes.
Saya, are you a snapper, or is it a snapper? Is that what they're called?
I snap at my husband sometimes. I do agree with Nicole that it is not for everyone, especially if we talk about clients and brands and so forth. However, I have to say, in terms of, well, for ourselves, for example, we do Snap. For Mar Digital, we have an account, but also I have another company in Scandinavia where we specialize in events. It's an event, like business networking event series that we run every month in various cities. And actually we noticed that Snapchat has become quite good channel to cover those events to an outside audience, a little bit like Periscope now. That's the kind of latest craze, if you like. But we've had Snapchat before, and we've done some really good coverage from the events, and people can engage with you. They can see what's going on. They get the hype, the atmosphere within the events, and then we've gained new members because of Snapchat. So I do think it works for certain kind of industries and brands, especially if you have physical events and conferences and so forth. Then I think it's a good channel. In terms of I can't think of an example now, but I do agree with Nicole that it's perhaps not for everyone. You really have to think it through. What is the role of that channel and how it can bring your brand to life and how you can showcase what you have to offer, thinking about the target audience and the people who are within Snapchat platform at the moment as well.
So Alex,
one disadvantage.
Yeah, go for it, Nicole. Sorry.
One quick thing. One disadvantage to Snapchat that I see is it's difficult to have any visibility beyond mobile. So if you're wondering about how to follow a brand on Snapchat, it's not super user-friendly like Twitter, where you search it, it's one of the first results. I think that as there's better visibility of public profiles, even on desktop, I think it will improve. I think the snap codes with the little QR code have helped, but unless you have people put into your phone and you have their phone number, it can be hard to find them unless you know their username.
So that's not very positive, probably, from someone that's been on Snapchat for maybe 2.5 years or something like that. You would think that, I mean, obviously, initially you said that you were very enthusiastic about it, and perhaps it's the fact that the majority of your acquaintances weren't keen to actually interact on it. Maybe that's put you off, possibly.
Possibly.
Alex, should the majority of content marketers who work in agencies be aware of Snapchat and what Snapchat can potentially offer, or is it really a niche platform that isn't relevant for the majority of people to be aware of in the marketing industry?
Well, I'm not really sure, like for B2B, like say brands, because, well, like Instagram, it can be like engaging, it can be for fun, it can be for bringing up community, but it's hard to connect this with, sales. And I think that's the main reason why we do marketing. However, I was like, I don't use Snapchat, honestly, but I was like really curious about it. And I took a look at, what kind of, let's say, countries are mostly interested in Snapchat website. And actually I use similar web to take a look at this. And what is really interesting that I found out the first one, US, well, for sure. And then it's Brazil and France.
Wow.
And yeah, and after that it's Poland, and only on the 5th place you will find UK. So it's really interesting in terms of how it's spreading and developing. So yeah, that's, well, what I can't like give any comments about that because I'm not really aware about Snapchat as it is and about how it was developing in terms of being international. but it's really interesting that UK at least not on the second or third place in terms of receiving traffic. So, we will see how it's going to develop and how it's going to be integrated in various, let's say, digital marketing strategies. But so far, what I see, a couple of digital marketing experts, like, for example, Aleida, they're using it to make funny, engaging videos. And I thought about doing that as well, because that's funny. But that's it, well, as far as I see.
Okay, so you don't have any clients in mind that Snapchat, you think would be appropriate for? No,
I don't think so right now. Probably for fun, like for engagement, yeah. And I think like being able to create some, let's say, positive emotion, that's also not so easy to do in digital marketing, especially. And if we talk also on plus of that about B2B, which is like really, really, let's say, not so like emotional. Let's say not so emotional. So yeah, I think that might be a good idea.
So is it maybe maybe the young B2C version of Twitter, and Twitter's perhaps mainly used by B2B, perhaps SEOs a lot, a little bit more. Is that more of an accurate description of what it perhaps offers?
Well, probably. Let's say we'll see, because right now I think it's hard to say because, in terms of involving Snapchat in business, I don't see it pretty a lot.
Nicole, have you got any clients that actually use Snapchat as part of their content marketing?
Not currently, but what I see as the most effective way of it working is if you have one of those Snapchat celebrities that you have on your channel for, a weekend. And so sometimes people that have a really big following will get hold of a brand's account for a weekend, especially for events. And they'll usually put their Snap name at the bottom of each snap, but it'll be a way that a brand can get some visibility and some new followers, especially if it's a partnership that there's a lot of passion for. So I think those partnerships are probably the best opportunity with Snapchat.
Okay. Yeah, that's great advice. So it's maybe a piggybacking opportunity. You can leverage the authority of existing users. Great. Okay, well, let's move on to topic number 4, last topic, which is Facebook have been testing reactions for a while, but over the past week or so, they've made them available for everyone. So will Facebook reactions change the way that content marketers use Facebook? Alex, you like your analytics. Will you be delving into how many hearts, or I don't know all the emotions yet, I'm afraid, but will you be delving into precisely what emotion happened for each piece of content that was shared?
I think that was like the very, very first thing that came up on what I thought about when I saw all those different emotions that Facebook finally launched it. That right now, social media especially, they even will be struggling with reporting, because there will be we shouldn't show that any of our, let's say, fans were angry at us. So now, right now we have those angry smiles as well. And I think it might affect, let's say, the current process of developing content and how they are going to communicate with community. Because you not only have right now positive you, let's say, have a It's not so obvious and but still, it's somehow showing that you're not satisfied with the quality or relevancy of shared content. And also what I think is really interesting, how digital marketing tools are going to implement that kind of various emotions in their interfaces, because that's a bunch of improvements. And they need to change their interfaces, and also they need to find a way to incorporate this data and collect it. So that's a big challenge, actually, in order to fulfill this niche. And who is going to be the first one? That's what is really interesting, because I had a chat with AC Rush, And there right now, well, they are trying to react at it proactively, but they, besides SEMrush, we have like particularly focused on social media tools, like social bakers, for example. And they have a lot of industry researchers by which they are generating traffic. And they are based partially on like likes. And so it means like right now they are not relevant. So they need to change the overall strategy and build it from scratch.
Wow.
Yeah, that's really interesting how people are going to solve this issue. Because
Absolutely. I'm just thinking about platforms like Hootsuite and other social media monitoring tools. Yeah, they must be pulling their hair out and wondering.
Yeah, that's not a really shiny situation. Thanks to Facebook.
It's a nice way to describe it. Yeah. And Saya, what are your thoughts on this one? Do you rely on social media dashboards to give you these types of analytics? And if so, will you be keeping your eye out for a tool that is offering you this information?
Yes, definitely. It's actually really, really important, and I do agree with Alex on all of what she said in terms of measuring the impact. And I guess the challenge for our clients at the moment, we are managing quite a few social media channels, the Twitters, Instagrams, Facebooks, you name it, we manage it for them because they simply don't have the time. And especially when we talk about organic reach within social media, at the moment, I think this is a positive thing actually, because what we've noticed over time is sometimes the audiences don't engage because there's just the like button. Maybe they are too shy sometimes to comment something. They don't want to be almost seen as saying anything or being too emotional or what have you. So actually these new reactions, they do present an opportunity for brands to engage their audiences without them having to actually comment on things. But it's very, very important that we can report on sentiment and how these audiences do feel about the post that we are pushing out there, the content that we are pushing out, in order for us to know what content works, what doesn't, and so forth. So I do think it's a really interesting challenge, and we'll be keeping an eye on the platforms that can analyze those results for us, and that we can then deliver to our clients in a comprehensive dashboard. Because so far it has been a bit of a challenge in terms of justifying to some of the, especially bigger clients, why should we do any organic social media? Because Facebook organic reach is going down, and it's all doom and gloom sometimes. And we do know that there's observers there, the following is there, but they don't always feel that the like button is enough. So I think these reactions perhaps will give us another opportunity to show with the appropriate tools that will enable us to do so. To identify that people are actually engaging with the brand organic content more than they perhaps are or have done so far. So yes, we will be looking out for platforms that can deliver. And we do use Hootsuite as well. I'll keep an eye on that one.
If I was a social media platform owner, developer, then I would certainly want to perhaps just hang fire for a month or two just to make sure that Facebook weren't going to change anything again, because that would be a nightmare trying to integrate something and then having to change it again. Nicole, you look as if you're dying to jump in there and add your thoughts on this one.
I have so many things I want to talk about for this. So the first thing, the brand that has knocked it out of the park is Chevrolet this week, because they had a campaign ready to go based on the Chevy Malibu. And it wasn't just love or just like your Malibu. We want you to love your Malibu. And as it so happens, I bought one of the new Chevy Malibus last month, and I was like, I love my new car. Like, this makes sense to me. And I was excited to share it. And it just made a lot of sense. And that forward thinking, being prepared the day that that feature was sent out, props to Chevrolet. You did a great job. One other thing that's interesting, a friend and former colleague of mine, Scott Cowley, he wrote a really interesting piece this week that was talking about why he won't be using the reaction buttons. And he said that there is a level of social currency that goes along with the like button, and that, we understand grandma just died and we don't like that grandma died, but liking is a way to show support. So now that there's a reaction that's a sad reaction that makes sense, but it also is going to lead to a level of just less engaged posts. People aren't going to think about it. They're just going to, choose the right emoji for a response instead of like a further interaction in a comment. So it'll be interesting to see how engagement rates are, especially for brands. And once we have access to some of that data to say, is this really making a difference with the way that people interact, or was the like button really a better option?
So which side of the fence do you lie on, Nicole? Is it a great thing, or is it something you're not too sure about?
I still like the reactions. I wish there were a few more. There was a really funny graphic that the oatmeal did this week that had a bunch of other reactions that should be there. Some of them somewhat inappropriate, but it was very funny.
Got a question in the chat from Melissa saying, do any of you pull your social media into Google Analytics to track? Alex, sorry, I said Alex first. We had Saya with our thumbs up there. Alex,
I can pass because I'm not doing that, so it's just not relevant to me to say anything. Because just like, okay, maybe. So it's better to pass.
That's okay. We'll go into Saya. So that's something that is a good thing to do, Saya.
Yes, definitely. So we try to track all of our campaigns, whether it's social media, PPC, SEO, PR, articles, whatever it is. We try to obviously create UTM queries and relevant tracking links to link them back to Google Analytics and use Analytics as a hub to really pull in all the marketing efforts and to identify what channels are working the best, which channels are assisting the other ones. And then again, I go back to the big picture, how can we integrate all of these available marketing channels within online as an effective marketing mix? And yes, so we do use Google Analytics for tracking all of our efforts and all of our campaigns, whether social media or anything else. Yeah.
And you would recommend other companies doing the same thing as well?
Definitely. I mean, otherwise you will have to collect data from so many places, and it's much more, you save time, you have it all in one hub in Google Analytics, it's all pulled in. I just find in terms of time management and data management is such a good place. It's easy to set up. Oh, I think it is anyway, but I guess it is really effective way to collect all the data in one place, and then you can create your custom reports and dashboards based on your clients, their objectives, what they're trying to do, which channels are assisting, what activities, and so forth. So it's a very, very good place to track all the data. I think I would definitely recommend it.
It's possibly a tough one because you have to have someone who's very comfortable technically what has to be done, but also understanding the metrics that are likely to matter most. For different aspects of the business and different types of marketing. And I suppose it involves multiple different mindsets to be able to do it really effectively. So either one person who's an amazing person to get it set up, or perhaps multiple people who don't naturally work together, working together.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. This is why we have teams. We support each other, we learn from each other, and we do have, within my team, we have specialists for SEO, specialists for PR, specialists for PPC, and obviously we come with different skill sets. But then I guess it's an organizational thing, or internal procedure and kind of progress to assign someone with that kind of skills to deal with analytics, or head of analytics or data and so forth, because there is so much now that you are online and our clients are online. There's so many channels, there's new channels coming all the time. So it's really important that there's a role for data analyst, for example, who knows exactly what to do, what to set up, how to collect data, how to organize it, how to report it, and then how to utilize it in your future marketing strategies.
Intriguing. Well, so much was discussed today. A lot of amazing opinions were shared, but I reckon that just about takes us to the end of this week's show. Just probably time for a single takeaway and some sharing of find out more details from our guests. So shall we start off with Alex?
Okay, so should I make some kind of a summary. Yeah.
Just confirm, where people can
Okay.
find you.
Okay.
One actionable takeaway from what we've discussed today.
Okay, so I think that now you can share more emotions about your friends on Facebook. And if you're angry, you can do that. So if you really hate someone, go and show it. So now you have an option to do that. So be really
That's the takeaway. If you really hate someone, go and show them.
But if just talking about like digital marketing world in general and how it's changing, I think there is like a bunch of exciting changes that we have from Google, especially about paid results. And I'm really into following this situation and seeing how advertising budgets of especially top brands will be changing. So I'm really curious about Amazon, for example. I really love to dig a bit the numbers and see how it's going to be changed, because honestly, it's like being less visible, but paying more or paying less, or in terms of visibility as well. And you can find me still. Wow.
Someone had a motorbike going past them. I'm not sure.
Yeah, really interesting. And so you still can find me on Twitter as usual. Also, if you prefer Facebook, then you can show your emotions on Facebook. So happy to be connected, and thank you very much for having me today, guys. Really great conversation. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Well, we'll make sure we'll include links to your website and the show notes when that's published. In the next few days or so. But I'm glad we didn't have that noise throughout the whole show. That would have been interesting. And also joining us today was Nicole.
Yes, so we kind of had two discussions. One was about the way that the search engine result pages are displaying. It'll be interesting to see what engagement rates are like, the competition for the ads that do remain on pages. And then also talking about the AMP pages and how people are going to interact with those. I think with all of the extra space that is on those pages, I anticipate a lot more visual results, maybe some more images and videos that would be relevant, and also additional information in the knowledge graph. As far as social media, I love Snapchat. I think that there's a lot of potential for the right industry and the right client. So don't just push it away as something that teenagers use. And I've loved being here. That's my emotion for today. And you can follow me Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, everywhere at Cute Culture Chick.
Great branding, great personal branding there. Thank you, Nicole. And also with us today was Saya.
Yes, thank you as well. It's been really interesting discussion today, and there's been lots of news this week in terms of the biddable media world and organic as well. You can find me on Twitter. My handle is Saija Maan, so SAIJA Maan, and my website is www.mahondigital.co.uk. So that's where you can find my company from. And I'm really sorry about the noise. I think it's in my office, outside the office. I'm really, really sorry. I'm going to go and tell them off.
So do you know what they're doing, or is that just
I really don't. They didn't give us any alert. We are in a business center here, so I do apologize, and I'm going to give them a big slap later.
That's okay. That's okay.
I do apologize. And yeah, I'm just really excited to see how the media landscape is evolving, and how biddable media can support SEO and vice versa, and how content marketing, especially this year, will be so super important with visual, especially video, that's really lifting its head up and becoming more and more important. YouTube is the second biggest search engine nowadays, so I will be very excited to see the developments in the world of video for our clients and our own brands as well.
And where can people find you, Saya?
They can find me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @SaijaMaan, and Mahon Digital as well. And Facebook, Mahon Digital, you type it in, you probably find us there. And we have our website, mahondigital.co.uk.
Wonderful, wonderful. If I can ask you all just to stick around just for a minute after we stop recording, just so I can get your audio recording through the piece of software that I'm using here. But I'll just finish off by saying I'm David Bain, Head of Growth at Authoritas, the company that provides big data solutions that gives your enterprise the content marketing edge. So sign up for a demo of our platform at authoritas.com. And you can also find me interviewing online marketing gurus over at digitalmarketingradio.com. Now, if you're watching the show as a recording, remember to watch the next show live. So head over to thisweekinorganic.com and sign up there to be part of the live audience for the next show. But for those of you watching live, we also have an audio podcast of previous shows. So again, that's where you need to go, thisweekinorganic.com, and you'll receive the podcast links from there too. But until we see you again, have a fantabulous weekend, and thank you all for joining us. Adios, and thanks again, Alex. Thanks, Saya. And thank you, Nicole.